I was encouraged to see, last night's children's performances and the other work being done by Acharya Devratji in Haryana, sending all these acharyas in the villages and all that. And even this morning, with the leadership meeting, I was quite happy with that. But I'm sure we can do a lot more work toward this. So let's talk what are the issues I have come thinking. So, we are saying that youth are not coming to the ISMA that much. So I think the problem is because we are not giving them the management, in their hand. So that's one of the reasons. And and we are staying in the four walls. So that's another reason. So we are not expanding. And the way of teaching, are old and boring kind of. So we need to use the new technology and come up with new and interesting ways to teach. And we'll talk about all that later on. And I see today they have some standardized Havan books that we had to come up with something more of that. And of course, we are lacking English speaking pracharaks, so that's another problem in the Western world. And I also feel that our parents are not, we as parents are not persuasive enough to bring our children to the seminars and teach them the wisdom. And as I know it, Hindus in general, whether it's Vedics or Hindus, kind of indifferent to Dharma, their priority is different. So that's the problem as well. So, and here in America, I know that they are really, children have really low self-esteem and the self-image. And so they don't even call, they feel ashamed to call themselves Hindus. And I think the reason because of that is more, Murti Puja and some of this, this Hindu rituals of, like they do some kind of pouring water, juices, milk, everything, some kind of, this nonsense kind of activities that we think are there. So they could turn away any thinking wisdom. So now, I said crawling, and sleeping kind of on similar terms. So like I said, Hindus are more like ignorant about the Dharma, so they are turning to really non-Vedic practices, Sai Baba, worship of tombs, and blind faith and all that. So it's our job to teach them Vedic wisdom. And these non-Vedic sects, Brahma Kumaris, and even Art of Living, and so many other meditation centers and all that, they're all flourishing. And we are, somebody says stand still, so we are kind of crawling. So, like I said, I was encouraged by Acharya Devratji that they are sending acharyas in the villages and all that. So we need to do that more because 70% of the Indian population lives in the villages. So that's more for India, I guess. And we have most people have been thinking that because of this from this surveillance, mass surveillance, not much of productive things are coming out. So it looks like now some action has been started. I'm very happy to see that. Here, the problem, severe problems. There has been a youth problem. So older people, will be disappearing soon, and what that happens, so we could march to the extinction of this Arya Samaj or even Hindu Dharma. So what will happen is, our children will be most likely Christians, maybe Muslims, or maybe nowhere land. And it will be our fault that we have denied them this valuable wisdom of the Vedas. So there is a very serious problem here. According to some estimates, India will be a Muslim country in the next 30 to 40 years. The population growth of Muslims is at a staggering rate, and if there are no controls of population by the government, so it will be a very big problem. And we know what happens in that case. Hindus disappear at a staggering rate. So we have these examples, recently, Yazidis, from Iraq, even 5-year-old girls were auctioned out. And we know what happened in Pakistan, Bangladesh, even Kashmir, and several Indian cities happening now. So they're being emptied out from India. Okay. This one is totally different. Just forget about what I said, or just put that on the side. And I know we have many millionaires in this room, so I just want to throw it. Oh, okay, that's good, and I don't need that. Here, I don't know how many people have seen this Lotus Temple in India. Some other Baha'i temples, they have like one in Chicago, some in Europe and all that. So, they have beautiful buildings, and if people go see, they have little parks and have picnics and all that. So that's one thing. So another one is, I think it's in Tennessee somewhere. It's called Pantheon. So they charge like $2-3 fees, and there is like they have artifacts, things like that, and people visit and just have outing. So I have this idea for a Vedic center, and we could build something like that, and we can put all the artifacts, Vedas there, wisdom there, and maybe sell some of the souvenirs, and we could make money. We could be run it free of cost once we build it. So I just want to throw it on the floor here. So totally different idea than anybody could ever think of, I guess. And that concludes my presentation here.
Namaste everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, that's great. I'm here to present a very subtle and how to reform the glorious movement to bring a new life. Subject is very vast, but I will give you a outline because we are going to have a workshop in the afternoon at what time? 1:40 in Dogwood Room. And let me start from the beginning, why I choose this subject. When I was young, I used to read the literature written by Jagdish Vidyarthi. I hope some of you know who was Jagdish Vidyarthi. He became Swami Jagdishwanand and passed away few years ago. I also used to read Mahatma Anand Swami's books. Slowly, that was my teenage years. And then I realized that Swami Dayanand was killed not by his person who gave the wish or the poison in the milk, but it was a political conspiracy. Instruments can be different, but political conspiracy is very subtle. And similarly, later on I found out that Arya Samaj was perceived as a threat to the ruling British, and that's why they wanted to eliminate, not by the bullet, but by the subtle use of their intellectual power. Later on, Swami Shraddhanand was also a target on similar basis. And how it was a target, even Abdul Rashid, the person who killed Swami Shraddhanand, Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru tried to save him. Why should I try to save a person who has killed somebody in front of so many people? It means it was a conspiracy, and these two people were titularies of the British at that time, and I will show you later on too. Anyway, I am producing some controversy, and the purpose of this controversy is to stimulate your intellectual acumen so that we can realize the realities and how to deal with them. Later on, this appeasement policy of government of India divided the nation and defragmented. As soon as Mahatma Gandhi was killed by Nathuram Godse, then what happened? There was a complete decimation of Hindu Mahasabha. That was on the government level, not by individuals. Slowly, certainly, the same process continued. The intellectuals, the revolutionaries, which were part of creating the independent India, did not directly involve in the administration, in the government. So what happened? Those revolutionary forces, they were left behind. And because of the challenges Arya Samaj poses to the society to produce the reform, government thought it's better to make it important. And government was successful. Whether you like my statement or not, that's another question. But what I'm trying to say, there are subtle forces which are bending to destroy the very existence of the reform movement. And I will prove it later on in the workshop this afternoon, but I am just giving the outline. The revolutionaries did not participate, and slow decline of Arya Samaj continued, and Arya Samaj was completely neutralized by the government. Now, just to digress a little bit, I came to United States in 1973, and what I saw at that time, that Swami Prabhupada's literature was being distributed on the streets of Cleveland and so many big cities. I was completely naive person at that time, so I was thinking that what kind of things are happening. But sooner and sooner and later on, as I grew intellectually, I realized that there are those subtle forces that are trying to destroy Swami Prabhupada, and I will tell you how. I started reading in the newspapers of psychiatric nature, and psychologists used to write, Hare Krishna is a cult. Okay, now everybody realize what is Jim Jones cult? You know them, what they did. Similarly, they are blamed and their images were tarnished by those slow, subtle processes. I don't want to name anyone because you can discover yourself. I wrote a letter to the editor, or that this is not a cult. It was not published. I approached to the President of American Psychiatric Association and arranged a workshop in 1993 in New Orleans. At that time, I invited one scholar from Hare Krishna, one scholar who studied Hare Krishna and written a book, a staunch Christian priest, and then myself and one professor of psychiatry from California, Dr. Anand, who has written about 900 papers, research papers. So you cannot say that he is not a literate person or intellectual person. So we arranged the workshop, and it was proved that this is not a cult. Why I did it? Because at least I was thinking, if I may not be able to survive in this strange world where there is no vegetarianism, where there is no compassion to the human beings, and it's a dictating, dogmatic, organized religion, my children will convert into Christianity also. So what I did, for that purpose, at least they are going to be vegetarian. Hare Krishna people are vegetarians. So at least something of Vedic civilization will continue. With that intention, I did it. And ultimately, I was successful to get a letter from President as well as from the head of the department of the American Psychiatric Association, that apology, that sorry, we did not know and we targeted it as a cult. The idea is everybody can do the same thing. It's not me. I don't have any power. I'm just thinking and doing it. This is the Purusharth. Everybody has that potential. And that's why there are certain subtle forces which are acting right now, and I want to expose them in the workshop. I would like people who teach in Gurukuls, people who came out of Gurukuls, sannyasis or reformers or pracharaks to please come and participate. It will be in they change the room to what place? Dogwood place. So I would like you to come. Before I go and I end, because my time is run out, I have written many books about 1718, of which I wrote one recent book, Basic Principles and Practices, Vedic Principles and Practices. If you call people for the name of Arya Samaj, nobody wants to come. And so if you tell them the basic philosophy, then people will like to read it. With that intention, I have explained the role of Arya Samaj in this book. Similarly, I am using the same subtle technology, perception and experiences by those forces which are demeaning and destroying, plan to destroy Arya Samaj. So I would like to distribute to the guests at the podium, and this is available outside and can be purchased. This one for you, sir. And I will give my rest of the time to my another colleague who is going to describe the same in a different format.